werewolf stands in the doorway, towering over her as she hesitates. His broad shoulders fill the frame, and the flicker of Christmas lights on the tree casts a soft glow on his fur-lined jacket. "So, you gonna let me in or not?" His deep, gravelly voice fills the room, the weight of his words almost matching his imposing figure. He grins, revealing slightly sharp teeth, but there's no malice in his expression. The girl steps back, heart racing, her fingers clutching the door. I don't know," she murmurs, her eyes darting to the side as if seeking an escape route. "I mean, you're a werewolf." He lets out a chuckle, low and throaty. "Yeah, and you're a little thing, aren't you? You think I'm gonna bite you?" He tilts his head, his amber eyes glinting with amusement. "I'm not here to cause trouble, sweetheart. Just here for the night." She glances at the Christmas tree behind her, unsure. "I don't know. My best friend said you were my present." "A present?" His eyebrows raise in mock surprise, his voice almost teasing. "Well, in that case, I guess I'm the best Christmas gift you've ever gotten, huh?" She snorts, despite herself. "You're huge," she mutters, her gaze sweeping over his muscular frame, feeling both overwhelmed and intrigued. "I know," he rumbles, stepping forward slowly, his boots making soft thuds on the floor. "But I can be gentle. Don't worry, I won't break anything." Her eyes widen, but she doesn't step back. "What do you want from me?" He smiles, a lazy but confident smirk, the hint of something more dangerous in his voice. "What do you think I want, little one?" He steps closer, his presence filling the room. "I'm just curious." His tone softens, almost intimate. "Curious about you." She gulps, but stands her ground, even as her heart races. "Curious about me?" "Yeah," he murmurs, stepping closer still, his breath warm against her cheek. "You've got that fire, that spark. I could sense it from the moment I stepped in." His eyes drop to her lips for a second, before lifting back to meet hers. "And I want to know if you'll let me get closer." She hesitates, caught between fear and something else, something she can't quite name yet. "I don't know if I can trust you." "I'm not asking for your trust right away," he says, his voice low, almost a whisper now. "But give me a chance. Let me prove I'm not the monster you think I am." He leans in, his lips brushing her ear as he adds, "And if you don't like it, you can always tell me to leave. But I think you'll like it just fine." The werewolf steps even closer, his massive presence making the space feel smaller. He watches her closely, his amber eyes never leaving hers, as if he's reading her every reaction. "You're not scared of me anymore, are you?" His voice is low, almost teasing, as he reaches out to brush a lock of her hair away from her face. His touch is surprisingly gentle, but there's an undeniable strength behind it. She swallows, trying to steady her breath, but her pulse races faster. I'm not sure." She bites her lip, her eyes flicking to his broad chest, then back up to his face. She can't deny the way he makes her feel, both afraid and drawn to him in a way she doesn't quite understand. He chuckles softly, a warm, rumbling sound that seems to resonate in the room. "You're not sure, huh?" He steps even closer, his body towering over hers, and she feels a flicker of uncertainty. "You don't have to be sure, sweetheart. Just let go for once. Stop thinking. Trust me for just a moment." She looks up at him, her heart beating in her throat. I don't know if I can." Her voice cracks slightly, betraying the nerves she's trying to hide. "I think you can," he growls, his voice darkening with something more primal now. His lips curl into a grin, but there's no humor in it anymore, only desire. You want to. I can see it in your eyes. The girl takes a step back, but the werewolf matches it, closing the distance in a heartbeat. He lowers his head, his breath brushing against her skin as he speaks in a softer, almost seductive tone. You've got that spark in you, little one. I can feel it. You're holding back, but I can show you how good it feels to stop fighting it. She feels his breath on her neck, a shiver running down her spine. Stop fighting it, she whispers, unsure if she's asking for clarification or if she's questioning herself. What does that mean? It means, he murmurs, his voice so close now that she can feel the vibration of each word, that I want to take you somewhere you've never been before, but I need you to trust me, just for tonight. Her breath hitches in her throat as he steps closer, his scent overwhelming, wood, earth, and something wild that calls to her, in a way she can't explain. You don't have to be scared, he says softly, his eyes intense, his gaze locking with hers. Let me show you the parts of yourself you haven't even discovered yet, the parts you're afraid of. She feels her body heat up under his stare, her heart pounding louder than ever. The room feels small, suffocating almost, but also exhilarating. She swallows again, her mouth dry, her hands trembling slightly. I don't know, she says again, though this time her voice lacks the conviction it had before. She's no longer sure if she's speaking to him or to herself. The werewolf leans in, just a breath away from her lips, his gaze flicking to her mouth. His voice drops to a near growl. You do know. You've always known. The room feels heavier now, the air thick with unspoken words. The girl's breath quickens as the werewolf's presence envelops her, like a magnetic pull she can't resist. He's so close now, his body practically pressing against hers, yet he makes no move to touch her further, just stands there, watching her closely, waiting for her to make the next move. You're trembling, he says softly, his voice a velvet growl. His eyes flicker down to her hands, which are tightly gripping the hem of her sweater, knuckles white. What are you so afraid of, little one? You don't have to be afraid of me. She glances at his hands, his long, powerful fingers, resting at his sides, each one more capable of crushing anything they touched than she could ever imagine. Her heart skips a beat, but she doesn't pull away. Instead, she bites her lip and looks back at him, conflicted. I don't know if I can just trust you like that. You don't have to trust me all at once, he murmurs, his voice so smooth it almost feels like a command. Just trust me for tonight. The words hit her like a wave, sweeping away her last bit of resistance. Her mouth goes dry, and she finds herself stepping back into him, drawn by some invisible force. She's not sure if it's his presence, the way he makes her feel alive in a way she's never felt, or the way he speaks to her, like he knows exactly what she needs before she does. Just for tonight, she asks, her voice barely above a whisper, her breath shaky. Just for tonight, he confirms, his deep voice vibrating in her chest as he takes a slow step forward, his height towering over her. I won't push you, but I want you to feel something different, something you've never felt before. He takes another step, his body now only inches away from hers, but he doesn't touch her. Not yet. His scent is intoxicating, and the closer he gets, the more it clouds her senses. Her mind is a swirl of confusion and desire. She feels the heat radiating off his body, the powerful allure of him tugging at something deep within her. Her pulse quickens. What? What do you mean? She asks, her voice fragile, unsure of herself. He leans in slightly, his breath warm against her ear, as he speaks in a hushed, almost teasing tone. I want you to stop thinking. Stop wondering what's right or wrong. Let yourself feel. His lips brush the side of her neck, sending a shiver of electricity through her body. Let go. It'll be better than anything you've ever imagined. Her mind races, her body betraying her as a wave of warmth floods her chest. Her heart beats faster, and her skin tingles from the closeness of his touch. She tries to steady herself, but his voice, the power in it, keeps drawing her closer. I won't hurt you, he murmurs, his voice thick with the desire. I'll make sure of that. His eyes meet hers again, his amber gaze fierce and full of promise. But if you keep fighting it, you'll never know what it could be like. I can show you how good it feels to let go, to embrace what you want. Don't you want that? She looks up at him, feeling so small in his presence, yet unable to pull away. I don't know if I'm ready for this, she whispers, but the words come out weak, her uncertainty slipping away with every second she spends in his intoxicating proximity. You don't have to be ready, he says, his lips brushing against her ear once more. You just have to let yourself be. And just like that, the last of her resistance shatters. She doesn't know if it's the werewolf's voice, his undeniable presence, or the deep, primal pull she feels toward him. But in that moment, she makes the choice to surrender to the unknown. The room feels electric, alive with the tension of what's to come. Her breath catches in her throat as she takes a step closer to him. Okay, she says, her voice barely a whisper but filled with a quiet acceptance. The werewolf's grin widens, satisfaction flashing in his eyes as he finally lets his hand fall gently to her waist, guiding her in. Good girl. His voice is low, filled with a deep, approving growl. And then, slowly, he pulls her into him,